Hey everyone, welcome on into the Cleveland Browns report. We are right before the start of NFL free agency, so I thought we could run through some of the top free agent targets for the Browns at their biggest positions of need. Now, I do want to note that your needs may not match up well with the free agency strength. So if you have a big need for, say, I don't know, quarterback, and there are not many good free agent quarterbacks out there, I am of the mentality of you don't just force a signing for the sake of making a signing at that need. It's unfortunate, but I don't think two wrongs make a right. So there are some needs here for the Browns that unfortunately are not strengths of this free agency class, which is why you should turn to the draft usually to fill those needs. So before we look at any free agent targets for the Browns, make sure to subscribe for all tracker, news, rumors, all that good stuff. NFL free agency kicks off unofficially Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and then officially the new league year begins on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So don't miss anything. Help us reach 43,000 subscribers as well in the process. Now, I think it's important to start by looking at the Browns' own free agents because that's where they're going to look first to plug some of their holes. You can see what I have next to every single player, and it's my prediction, just a prediction, as to whether or not the Browns will re-sign them. I don't believe Jameis is coming back. Sadly, I do not believe Chubb will be coming back. I don't agree with that, but that's just my prediction. Foreman, Moore. I would like to see Akins come back because he played very well last year, actually, filling in for the Chief. I don't think they're going to bring back any of those offensive linemen. If there's one to bring back, maybe like Michael Dunn, but they're going to move on from Wills and Hudson and probably Petey, and Harris just had too many injuries already to run it back. As for some other free agents on the defensive side, Hurst is probably going to get phased out as they want to give Mike Hall a bigger role in the defense. James Houston, I don't know. There's some guys at the bottom of the roster they could just bring back on a very cheap contract. I thought Bush and Bell have shown enough to warrant another one-year deal, so I'd like to see both those players return. Rodney McLeod's going to retire, so he's not coming back, and everyone else are kind of just bottom of the depth chart types of players. So name a free agent that you want the Browns to bring back. I want Nick Chubb to come back. I don't care if they re-sign him and he's not very good. I think it's just good for morale to have that man on your roster than not. So I'm willing to sacrifice a roster spot for Batman. Circling back to the team needs now. Let's look at some external free agent targets for the Browns to fill some of these gaps in their roster. We'll start with quarterbacks, and I want to go in tiers. This is just a rough tier of here are quarterbacks you could sign with a fair expectation for them to start week one, wherever they really end up. Sam Darnold is likely looking for $40 million a season. I don't believe the Browns are going to pony up $40 million a season for him, so I predict he goes to either the Titans or the Raiders. Rodgers, I could see going to either the Giants or he waits until the regular season for a starting QB to get injured, and then he goes to that team. Fields, I think, is either going to be a Steeler still or go to the Colts and battle with Anthony Richardson for that starting gig, but I'm leaning more towards Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson, I think, is going to go to Las Vegas unless Darnold goes there, and then I'm not really sure where Russ ends up if Fields goes back to Pittsburgh. Mac Jones, I think, could be a decent target for the Browns. I think Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry could look at a former first-round pick who had a very strong rookie season, and then things just went sideways once Matt Patricia became his play caller. Goes to Jacksonville. He backs up Trevor Lawrence for a year, and he plays like the last third of the season or so. Not great, not awful. I could see the Browns, I think you could too, going, hey, let's try and recapture that rookie magic he had and that first-round talent. And I think he also fits the mold of a Kevin Stefanski offense and could play nicely in that system. I also expect the Browns to sign two veteran quarterbacks, two free agents. So if you don't like Mac Jones, hopefully you like the next option, which brings us to kind of like a B tier, which is guys who are viewed as backups and are backups. Zach Wilson is definitely someone that the Browns could be watching for because of that first-round allure, the huge arm he had. Remember that combine video, the pro day video of him just flicking the wrist, and man, that made him a lot of money, but I could see the Browns going, hey, why not take a flyer on a guy after 1 year of rehabbing with Sean Payton? Brissett, I'd be on board with. I think we can all agree he was awesome in Cleveland in 2022. No issue with running it back with him. Carson Wentz is a name that keeps popping up. I don't love the idea, but I am just going to relay the news to you, which is watch for the former second overall pick to be the Browns' potential QB. Daniel Jones, I think, is going to go back to Minnesota and back up J.J. McCarthy for another season. Trey Lance, honestly, say something nice about Trey Lance. He's in this tier of backups. I don't think he should be in this tier. I just had to have 5 guys, and I went with him because he really should be in the next tier of free agent quarterbacks, which is they may be out of the league potentially. Jarrett Stidham, he's had a couple of starts in his career, 4. No one looks at him as the savior. Dobbs is a backup, and he's a backup who has to earn the backup job. But he has some connections to Cleveland, right? Of course, he was our preseason prince. He was traded to the Cardinals for a 5th-round pick, and then he goes up to Minnesota, and then he starts there and loses the starting job, and now he's been backing up Brock Purdy in San Francisco. So here's someone who knows Stefanski and the Browns playbook a little bit, and if you're looking for some familiarity, that could be another good second veteran option. Mason Rudolph has had some good moments in his career, but it's a doom for me. Those guys, are they still relevant, by the way, the Costco guys? I don't. Okay. I'm going to take that back then. Flacco. I like it. The Browns aren't going to do it. I think it would be an admission of a mistake. Why would you bring him back this offseason and not last offseason when he was fresh off a big run with the Browns? It would make no sense because the Browns did not want to re-sign Joe Flacco out of fear of fans wanting him to play over Deshaun Watson. So they went with the next best quarterback as the option, Jameis Winston. Because, yeah, everyone hates Jameis. No one would ever chant for Jameis, right? Drew Lock, he had some opportunities with the Giants to make a bit of a name for himself, and he did nothing with those opportunities. They went with Tommy Cutlets. So I don't think Lock is going to be in the league for much longer. Now, one name that is not on this list, but will be on this list in a matter of days, Kirk Cousins. I'm filming this, by the way, Thursday afternoon before I jet out for a weekend wedding. There's a chance by the time this video gets published, Atlanta has already announced they are going to release Kirk Cousins. If the Falcons do / when they release Kirk Cousins, because he's got $10 million coming his way on the 5th day of the new league year, March 17th, when they release him, which I believe they will, I think he'd be a very good signing. He's going to sign for the vet minimum. The Browns do not have a plethora of cap space, so that's one big pro. You get him for around $1.7 million. Another pro is he does have some familiarity with Kevin Stefanski. They overlap for 1 season in Minnesota. And another pro is he was really, really good for a really long time. Injuries have unfortunately turned his career to the left. But he's going to be 2 years removed from that Achilles injury. I think it's fair to assume that he was telling the truth during Radio Row at the Super Bowl, that he played through a shoulder and elbow injury, and that's why he just sucked for like 5 straight weeks in Atlanta before he got benched for the rookie Michael Penix. Listen, I'm not here to try and sell you guys on Kirk Cousins going to lead Cleveland deep into the postseason. What I am here to sell you on, of all those options we just looked at, if he's going to cost you $1.75 million, and we know that when he's at his best, him and Rodgers are by far way better than every other quarterback there. I think Rodgers is an okay-ish idea, but I just don't really want to deal with the drama, and I don't think he'd come to Cleveland. I think Cousins could warm up to the idea of playing with Jerry Jeudy and Kevin Stefanski, and, well, beggars can't be choosers. So Cousins would be my preferred option of all those guys when he inevitably gets released. As for some running backs now, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, A.J. Dillon, there's Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle from the Cowboys. Expect Dallas to want to bring it back. Javonte Williams, former second-round pick by the Broncos. I think he's going to hit the open market. Alexander Madison, he was Dalvin Cook's stunt double. He didn't really work out in Las Vegas. I don't think he's going to have much of a market in free agency. One name that I'll circle on back to is A.J. Dillon. He missed all of 2024 with a neck injury, but he was a bruising back for the Packers. He is not going to be signed with the expectation of being a 3-down running back, but if they're looking for a veteran to pair with a rookie, he could be a nice vet to use in goal line situations, someone who can pick up blitzes and pass protect because he's been doing it for a long time, and that can take some of the stress off the rookie's plate. So I like this potential option. Once again, there's just not a lot of great options out there. I'd love for Nick Chubb to come back, but all signs are pointing to a separation. As for some wide receivers now, Davante Adams, Stefon Diggs. Diggs is not going to go back to Houston anymore because they just traded for Christian Kirk. Adams is either going to go wherever Rodgers goes or to the West Coast. Cleveland is neither one of those destinations. Keenan Allen's either going to stay in Chicago or return back to the West Coast. Chris Godwin, I think, is going to stay with Tampa. Cooks, I don't really know where he's going to end up, but I don't think the Browns are going to be too interested in a 31-year-old receiver. Same goes for Lockett, for Hopkins. Marquise Brown's going to re-sign with the Chiefs. Amari Cooper is definitely not coming back. Mike Williams, 30 years old, and he is aging poorly. No, there's not a lot of good options here, and I don't expect Cleveland to make a big splash wide receiver signing. But they have made some, tactical receiver additions, mostly predicated on speed. Jakeem Grant, Marquise Goodwin. I think Olamide Zaccheaus could be another option. He is probably out of a job in Washington with the Commanders trading for Deebo Samuel, and with the Commanders as their number 2/3 option. 506 yards, 3 touchdowns. No, he's not a 1,000-yard guy, but you're not paying him to be a 1,000-yard guy. So that's a name I can definitely get behind right there. As for the offensive line now, we talked about this in the previous video. They're in a weird spot. They're on track to bring back all 5 starters, right? Bitonio's going to come back for a 12th season. Teller is still technically on the team, but I think with Bitonio returning, they might look to trade Teller. Conklin, they could move on from and get some cap savings, but do they really want to open up one more hole on an aging and declining offensive line? No. I think they'll look to bring in a new swing tackle. And Andre Dillard could be a really good option for them because he has shown that he's probably not cut out to be a starter at left tackle for all 17 games and never miss a snap. But he was a pretty good swing tackle with the Eagles. And then with the Titans, he showed, I'm not really cut out to be a everyday starter, but with the Packers, we didn't see much of him, and I think with the Browns, he could be a good backup insurance policy if DeJuan Jones doesn't quite return as early as week 1 or Jack Conklin goes down again. He's at least got some good experience. As for the cornerbacks now, we just know that Cleveland, especially Andrew Berry, heavily believes in building the cornerback room and investing in it repeatedly in draft and in the free agency, and there's not a lot of big corner options out there. Do we have a list of the top 10 corners? I think maybe, but yeah, Mike Ford, we'll put on screen right now, is a re-signed option because, well, he can play special teams. He's been with this team for 2 seasons. This could be a name that the Browns decide. No, I don't think we do actually. Sorry. This could be a name the Browns decide, let's just roll it back because he knows the playbook, he knows the defense, and we're not in the market for a new starting corner. We're in the market for depth and special teams help. And he does a good job of that right there. So I'm not looking to spend big at corner when you've got, at the moment, 3 starting corners. Now, if they trade Greg Newsome, that's going to dramatically change things. But for now, let's not cross that bridge if we're not at that bridge. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like the video down below. Always like the video. It does help grow the channel immensely. Reed, which card do you want to go with as the reigning card picking champ?
We've said this before. If you stick to one, you might get it multiple times.
That is true.
I'm going Jack of Clubs again.
Jack of Clubs. Was it Jack of Clubs or King of Clubs? Oh, it was Jack of Clubs. You're right. I'll go with King of Clubs. I'll go upstairs. Your upstairs neighbor. It is a Jack, and it is a Jack of Hearts.
Oh,
that would have been something. The next card, by the way, no, it's not it. All right, that will do it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I can't wait to see everyone tomorrow.